Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where all things are grief recovery, healing, and living intentionally, living your God-given purpose. So today I'm just going to do a little bit of storytelling about my story. And the title of my story today is When We Becomes Me. You know, for years I was a wife. Wasn't just a little, but it was for a long time. I was a wife, and it wasn't just a title. It was a rhythm I had, a partnership, a name that I answered to without even thinking, because of course I had taken on his last name. You know, grief don't just steal the person, it rearranges who you are as a person. After my spouse died, the silence in the house wasn't just about missing conversation. It was about not recognizing the person I was without them. I didn't know what to do on Sundays anymore after church, after I got through preaching. I had forgotten how to cook for one person. You know, I would look in the mirror and saw someone I didn't truly know because I was going through my grieving process. I hadn't yet began to heal. So the person in the mirror looked a little foreign to me, looked a little lost because I just didn't know how to function by myself, if that makes sense. I didn't lose my individuality, but when the two truly become one, you're missing a big part of yourself. I had suddenly been thrown into being a widow without knowing how to navigate. So slowly, I began discovering a new version of myself because I had no choice. I had to decide whether I was going to live or die. And I thought about the scripture that say, I shall not die but live to declare the works of the Lord. I had been a servant of God for a long time, so that was never in question whether I was going to turn my back on it. But I just didn't know how to navigate. I was tired. I became sick because I grieved hard. But in a weird kind of way, I became braver because I had no choice. I told God that if he allowed me to get through that, there was nothing I could get through. And I believe that. I don't know if I believed that I would actually get through it though. So I had to make a decision whether I truly was going to live or exist. I had to begin to say yes or no to some of the things that I used to let my spouse decide. Nope, he wasn't a dictator. We both had our roles in marriage. We both would switch roles sometime. Sometime he would handle the finances. Sometime I would, depending on what was going on. And when I was in school, I was like, nope, my brain can't take anymore. You do this. But now I was thrown into a world where I had to make all of the decisions. I started sitting alone. Sometimes I would have to go and eat alone. That was the most uncomfortable part of my journey because I always had someone to eat with. I had a lot of siblings. Sometimes I would go out to eat with them. But I knew in order to heal, I had to begin to take steps to doing things alone so that I wouldn't get a crutch onto people. Because reality says sometimes I was going to be alone. People couldn't be with me every single day. So I took the steps to start getting comfortable in my new normal. In my new normal. Things were so quiet around the house. I would go to grocery stores to shop for grocery. And then I would hear a song that came on the speaker in the grocery store that would remind me of my spouse. And I would just leave the buggy wherever it was and just go home and cry. Losing my spouse changed me. But it also invited me to meet myself again. Not to replace the love I had, but to honor it by still living. I knew I had to continue to live if God was going to use me. And it wasn't just all spiritual. I knew if I wanted to naturally live the life and thrive, I had to make a decision to be intentional and put the work in. If you've ever lost someone you shared your life with, who are you becoming now? What part of you are you starting to see again? Grief reshapes us, but it doesn't erase us. You're still here, still worthy of love, purpose, and belonging. God still have a plan for you. Would you like for me to help you? Well, stay tuned for the next episode. When I continue to tell you a little bit about my story and about how I healed, how I got up, and how I'm living on purpose today.